The designer I have chosen to explore from the Museum of Modern Art What Was Good Design exhibition is Vera Neumann. Neumann was born on the 24th of July 1907 in Stamford, United States. Her parents were Russian immigrants and she was one of 4 children who all followed a creative pathway. Neumann's father would encourage his children to draw and paint at a young age. Her early exposure to art is what led her to pursuing a creative career. She studied at the Cooper Union Art School in New York and gravitated towards the textiles area. She later then graduated in 1928. Following her graduating, Neumann worked as a designer for children's furniture and murals in New York, which she later then met her husband George Neumann within the same industry. Her husband George came from a textiles family and was incredibly supportive of her ambitions. And so in 1946, Neumann, her husband, and their friend Warner Ham each risked $1,000 to start a small print screening business named Printex. The small business first started in the kitchen of their New York apartment. Their first batch of products were given to B. Altman and other department stores for the company's initial sales, and from then on their business grew. Neumann and her husband George applied Bauhaus principles to their work, combining handcraft with industrial processes. Every design they created started with an original painting. Neumann started off designing houseware such as placemats, cushions, and napkins, but she was most famous for her bright-colored scarves. After the war, Neumann found it hard sourcing linen, but instead found an abundance of parachute silk from the local army supply store. She used this silk to create her ever-so-famous scarves. The first few decades of her career, she found a lot of inspiration from the nature around her. She loved to use flowers and leaves on her designs. She later then started using more geometric shapes and designs later in her career. Most of Neumann's design consisted of her signature and a little ladybug next to it. The ladybug was symbolized as a form of happiness because Neumann believed that the ladybug meant happiness in all languages. Eventually, their apartment got too small for their growing business. Neumann decided to relocate their business in an old silk screening plant in New York's Hudson Valley. By 1952, their business became a 24-hour operation. Women across the US sported Neumann scarves from Marilyn Monroe to Grace Kelly, while the First Lady, Bess Truman, bought a Vera design drapery fabric for the White House. Later in 1967, Neumann sold her business to a shirt company in Manhattan for $5 million. She retained her presidency for Vera Companies and was the only woman on the board. By 1972, the enterprise prospered. Her designs were sold in more than 15,000 stores in various locations throughout the country. Neumann designed everything from sportswear to houseware. She was arguably the first true lifestyle brand. She created travel and tourism posters as well as some for her favorite charities. She helped bridge fashion and decor by teaching customers how to mount and frame their scarves for a colorful, inexpensive artwork. The small kitchen table business grew to a worldwide sensation that was earning over $100 million annually. On June 15, 1993, Vera Neumann sadly passed away at the age of 86. Although she passed away, some of her designs are still being made to this day. New licensing was given to Anthropologie and Crate and Barrel, where they create new Vera fans from across the world every day. 3 of Neumann's work were presented at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, one being a printed linen artwork named Stone on Stone. Her work, Stone on Stone, reflected on Dieter Rams' 10 principles of good design. The first principle is that good design is aesthetic. Stone on Stone is pleasing on the eyes as Neumann has used colors that complement one another and has a mechanical look to it rather than organic. Another principle is that good design means that the product is also environmentally friendly. Stone on Stone is made out of linen, which is a flax plant that grows naturally, requires less water, and has fewer pesticides than other materials, making it the more eco-friendly fabric. Because of its natural fibers, linen is recyclable and biodegradable. Good design is also honest. Stone on Stone aligns with the materials used, which is printed linen. It isn't trying to do more than its intended purpose, which is to be a decorative art piece. Another principle is that good design has little design as possible. Consisting of only one geometric shape, shades of grey, and one primary colour, stone on stone is considered as good design because it isn't distracting the audience from the essential aspects. And lastly, good design is long-lasting and is not considered as a trend. In a society that revolves around trends, this particular design that was made 68 years ago still stands out and looks good in today's society, because good design lasts many years and is timeless. Throughout this assignment, I am able to reflect a lot from what I've learnt from Vera Neumann. Neumann has taught me that design doesn't need to be bold and compact for it to be considered as good design, because essentially less is more. She has also encouraged me to use more eco-friendly materials for my future works of art because nothing is more important than the environment around us. She has taught me that I need to find ways to design my work in such a way that it will last forever. I now know that good design is timeless. No one wants their designs to only last a few years to let it then be thrown out and forgotten. And lastly, Vera Neumann has taught me that attention to detail is so important, and I understand this the most as I know that sometimes when I'm rushing a particular project, you can tell that I put zero effort on it. Putting detail into your work ensures that you finish that work of art to the best of your ability and that your consumers are able to see that.